Previously on Sailing Florence.
Wow! Oh, it's gorgeous!
After a 4-day ocean passage, we arrived into the magical icy land of Svalbard and were wowed by its beauty.
We sailed north in the fickle winds to the main town to pick up our rifle for protection from polar bears.
Now we are ready to head further north and seek out the magnificent wildlife living in this extreme environment. We're just sailing out from Longyearbyen down Eastfjorden, and when we get to the exit we're going to turn right and sail up the west coast of Svalbard to go and explore that way. One of the places we're really excited to see is the Walrus haul out, or there's a couple of them, but a Walrus haul out. It's about 50-55 miles up there though, so it's pretty big distances up the coast. It looks a little bit deceiving on the map. There's really light wind, so it's going to take us a little while to get there. We're only doing 3.7 to 4 knots at the moment, so it might take us a while to get there, but because it's 24-hour daylight, doesn't matter what time we get there, we should still be able to see the walrus, hopefully. Longyearbyen and this fjord is the only place where there is any phone reception on Svalbard, so once we head out of here we are fully off-grid. We'll be using our satellite phone to get weather forecasts and to update our tracker for patrons. But yeah, it feels good to be getting going again after 3 nights in Longyearbyen, to be getting back out into the wilderness and spot some wildlife.
Svalbard spends a lot of its time frozen beneath the ice, but in the summer months, millions of migratory birds fly in to breed and bring up their young amongst the rich fishing grounds. They in turn fertilise the cliffs with their guano, making the areas below the reefs the greenest places in the archipelago. Each breeding pair of little auks deposits around 1 kilogram of fertiliser each season.
Well, we decided to come and anchor here because the wind has gone to a complete glass out, as you can see, and it's about another 10 miles to go on to the Walrus haul out place, and we just didn't want to motor all the way there, so we thought we'd anchor here and hope for some more wind tomorrow. And I was just scanning the shore with the binoculars just to look for polar bears once we'd anchored, and I saw something white in the water, and it kept disappearing and then reappearing, and then there were a couple of other white things in the water, and then it turned out to be a whole group of beluga whales, over 50 of them, and they actually came towards us and circled around Florence.
They're coming right at us! Come and enjoy it. There's one even closer that's like leading the way, I think. So there's so many of them. That's incredible. Wow.
Beluga whales have adapted to thrive in the Arctic, not just by their white colour, but also their lack of dorsal fin, which is believed to allow them to both swim more easily close beneath the sea ice and reduce heat loss in the cold environment. They are very social creatures, known to swim and hunt in groups, but also to show curiosity towards humans and boats.
Beluga whales live in Svalbard's waters all year round, and they don't just hunt fish. They have very flexible necks, helping them to search for prey such as shrimp or crab on the seafloor. And they don't have large teeth, so they use suction to bring the prey into their mouths and consume it whole. What an amazing and lucky experience. We'd only been anchored for about 10 minutes before they started approaching, and then we're totally surrounding Florence. And it's just the perfect conditions as well, because it's so calm and the water is so clear that we just got such an amazing view of them, and the air so still that you could hear them breathing even with the noise of some of the birds ashore. Just absolutely spectacular. And I was really hopeful that we'd see some beluga whales, but I had no idea that we would see a pod of so many of them. They were like together in small groups. I would kind of estimate now about maybe 50 or so of them. But yeah, that was just absolutely amazing. Yeah, how special.
That definitely made up for not seeing the walruses today. Hopefully we'll see the walruses tomorrow. Yeah, you ready to go now? So as promised today, we have a zephyr of breeze. It's about 7.5 to 8 knots, which is just enough to sail downwind under the spinnaker. Not what I expected to be doing in the Arctic, I have to be honest, from its reputation. And we are off to see the Walrus, which are about 12 miles this way, but we're going to try and make the absolute most of this wind today, because this is the only day on the forecast where there is actually wind. So we're going to sail 12 miles to the Walrus, hopefully spend a few hours ashore with the Walrus, and then we're going to sail 44 miles on further up the coast. We haven't decided exactly where to, there's a few anchorages up there, but just to make the most of the wind to make progress north, because then the next few days look like glassy flat calms, which are great for watching wildlife, but not very good for getting somewhere without having to use the engine.
It's now mid-June and the start of the short Arctic summer. From mid-June to mid-August, Svalbard experiences not only the mildest temperatures of the year, but also the most stable light wind conditions. As we will later find out, there are still summer storms, but the challenge of sailing up here in the summer is often more about patience and timing to make progress in the very light and fickle winds if you want to avoid a lot of motoring. This is so cool. These are the first walrus that we've seen. As we were sailing past, there was actually one in the water, and then just as we got the dinghy ashore, one came to have a look. I think it was a fairly big male. Between us and Florence, but they are amazing. We're currently upwind of them, which is great because as we were sailing around, I got a whiff of them and it was not pleasant. Kind of like wet dog mixed with rotten fish, but they are absolutely amazing. You have to stay quite quiet because it's easy to disturb them. They don't like noise, and so we won't go any closer than this because if you disturb them, it can cause a stampede. But yeah, what an amazing place. Read in some places that they can get to 1.5 tons and some places that they can get as big as 2, the big males, and it's obviously quite a lot of effort to haul all of that weight out of the water, but this must be a perfect spot for them because the water's quite shallow surrounding this area, and I know that they eat clams and mollusks and things on the bottom. Didn't realise until recently that the way that they eat them is they basically suck the shellfish out of their shells. They've got really powerful suction, but yeah, how many clams and mollusks and worms must something of that size have to eat on a regular basis? Hey. I love the music. They're not making much noise at the moment, they're resting, but when they do make a noise, apparently the low grunting sound that they make actually even scares orca. So they don't really have many predators, just the polar bear, which try and get them if they're really, really desperate. But yeah, you wouldn't really want to mess with a walrus, would you?
The red blotches on the walrus necks are where they bring blood closer to the surface, which is their way of cooling down in the summer heat, although we weren't finding it so warm. It's amazing to get as close as we are allowed to get to these guys. They are huge. We've been here about an hour and a half though. There's not a lot of action and my hands are getting pretty cold from holding onto the camera. Just amazing to be able to see things that you would see normally only on a wildlife programme, to be actually stood here and seeing them in the wild. This place is pretty amazing for wildlife. Ready?
Oh, I'm not sure I've ever been so keen to leave an anchorage. That was a really cool experience, but as soon as you are downwind of them, the smell is a little overwhelming.
And we're sailing downwind towards the shallow waypoint down here, dead downwind. I'm considering not going directly where we need to go and going off to one side, so we're not directly downwind of the walrus stink.
Yeah, Matt got the smell right a minute ago. It's like that really bad fertiliser. I think it's called like bloodfish and bone or something.
Yeah, that's what it smells like, but really, really strong.
Definitely worth moving on before lunch.
We're now sailing up Foreland Sundet, which is a narrow channel between the island offshore and mainland Svalbard. And this is the first time in Svalbard that we've had to think about the tides at all. Most of the other fjords, everything's deep. It's not really too much tide to worry about. But here there's a very shallow shelf that we're going to go over between one end and the other end of the strait up here. So the book says that the tide can run up to 4 knots through here. It doesn't give any other information other than to say that it generally runs north from 3 hours before high water until 3 hours after, and references the Norwegian pilot guide, which thankfully, the official one, which is thankfully also available in English, and we were able to download that. Doesn't have much other information other than which mountains to aim for to follow the narrow channel through over the shallow spot. Thankfully, these days it's all on the chart, so it should be easy to follow via GPS, but we have had to time our passage up here to be with the tide.
We got through the Narrows without any problems. It's just unbelievably calm sailing here. We're both waiting for the moment where the weather turns into more what we expected of sailing in the Arctic. But yeah, this is just lovely. Can't believe that we are towing the dinghy and sailing in such calm conditions. Just been able to do a bit of editing as we're sailing through here. Normally I don't even get the laptop out because A, it makes me seasick, and B, it will sometimes just get thrown across the boat. It's really good to be able to make some progress north with this wind. We have decided that we're going to pull into Kongsfjorden, which not only has the most northerly town in the world, but also some very spectacular glaciers apparently, and of course the possibility of a polar bear. And Matt's cooking us a bacon sandwich down below. Pretty good life, really.
Sandwich?
Awesome, check that out.
Ketchup.
The cooler temperatures have been meaning that food has been keeping really well on board. So there were some avocados which were on sale when we were in Tromsø, and they're just coming ripe. Really lovely. Turning into a beautiful day. The sun's coming up.
It's evening.
Oh yeah.
8 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah.
It's turning into a beautiful night.
It's turning into a beautiful evening. The sun's hitting the peaks now and they just look absolutely gorgeous, and the wind is carrying us very easily north. So we've actually made the decision to bypass Kongsfjorden for now and sail a little bit further north up to Krossfjorden.
Yep.
Which also looks spectacular and also has a big glacier that we can anchor near. So
Yeah, there's just so much choice here. I really didn't realise how many glaciers that there were on Svalbard. I had to look it up when we first arrived because I was just blown away by how many we'd seen just on that first section of sailing up the south coast. And I think there are over 2,000 in the archipelago. Yeah, not all of those get down to the water, but a fair few of them do. So we'll see as many of them as we can.
As we approached our intended anchorage by the glacier, we realised that this Arctic sailing is not quite so straightforward.
So unfortunately this anchorage, which we've been aiming for and we've been going all day, it's now 10:30 at night and we started at 5:30 this morning. Unfortunately this anchorage is full of blocks of ice. So although there's space between them to motor around them and it would be great to go and explore in here, it's not going to be a very good place to get a good night's sleep without worrying about large car-sized chunks of ice coming knocking on the hull and doing a bit of damage. So I think we're going to try anchoring just outside. It's not an official designated anchorage, but looking at the shelving contour of the beach and the composition of the beach, it seems sort of shingly, gravelly. So hopefully there's something in there that the anchor can bite on. We actually drove over it as a backup just on the way in, and it didn't, on the depth gauge and the forward scan sonar, it wasn't bouncing up and down. It seemed to be a fairly smooth bottom. So hopefully that means it's not rocks to catch the anchor. It should be a smooth bottom with some mud and gravel for it to bite into. We'll go and give it a go there. If we can get it to hold, then it's so calm that doesn't give us any protection. That's open to the Arctic Ocean, but there's no wind and there's hardly any swell. We might roll a little bit, but then when we've had a sleep, because we're both pretty tired now, we can come in here and explore tomorrow when we're alert and ready to enjoy it. So yeah, I think turn around and go and find somewhere without ice cubes to anchor for the night.
In the end, tired as we were, we decided to motor 3 miles to the other side of the fjord, where there was another anchorage without a glacier to fill it up with ice, and no swell.
Waking up in our new anchorage, we spotted something white and furry with 4 legs ashore. So we jumped into the dinghy to have a closer look.
Next time, Florence gets a true ice sailing experience as we sail between icebergs and seek shelter from a gale in the northernmost settlement in the world. For extra updates in between these bi-weekly videos, and to find out what we're up to in real time, head over to Patreon and join the crew.
Continuing our voyage on Florence would not be possible without the support of our patrons. Thank you to all of you, and especially to our star patrons.